If I could, make like super crazy intro graphics and stuff like that, I would, but I'm not. We are in the basically the crux of it as far as lacrosse season is concerned. We're in the crux, we're in the full swing of the PLL getting, playoffs in place. The NLL is still fumbling around with the Players Association and the CBA. They're still trying to get that worked out, but at least there's been mostly radio silence on that front. I say mostly because free agency has been delayed yet again. To August 29th, which is 2 Fridays from now, and the NLL draft is set for Saturday, September the 6th. And there's a lot of things that happen. Guys like Austin Stotts have been getting, offers. Other players have been getting offers. There's been trade offers. There's been all sorts of things going on. And yet, at the end of the day, the Toronto Rock are going to select CJ Kirst first overall in the draft regardless. So, even though they got the first 3 picks, the Toronto Rock are going to get the first 3 picks. And the NLL Plus app is going to be great for things like the Minto Cup. I wish it was the Man Cup too, but you know what? It's fine. The Minto's cool. The NLL Plus can stream, the Minto and some other, hey, NLL Plus has been streaming some other stuff too, but it's like at the same time, yeah, it's cool and all. Dane Doby, he's gone to Calgary, into office management. He's retired, and Dan McRae, is now Ottawa's, new head coach, GM, all that other stuff. So, I mean, look, Ottawa is in a weird position to where, they should have done more last year. And, this year is definitely a proving ground for, continued success. Very few NLL teams draw very well. Of course, the biggest exception being the Buffalo Bandits, who have won 3 straight championships and everything like that. But, at the end of the day, NLL's got some things to figure out. It's been kind of a mixed bag. The offseason's been kind of a mixed bag so far, and yet things still continue to move forward. If Daywick says something stupid one more time, I'm gonna be, just like, I get it. I get where he's coming from, and I get it where the owners are coming from in the NLL, trying to get things done, and everything like that. And trying to, force threats, that there could be no NLL season in 2025, 2026, which would be pretty bad for pretty much everybody. Rochester just got saved, guys. Rochester just got saved by the Seneca Nation. The Seneca Nation said, "All right, we got y'all." And so, the Pagulas, were like, you know what? We're not in this thing to be in this thing anymore, so we're gonna get on out, get on out of this thing and manage the other teams that we got, and I mean, there's things about this that are really, really good. There are things about this that can be perceived as bad because, again, it should not have taken, it should not have gone to that point. But the nature of the beast is that finances, are pretty crazy. Finances and running a team is a crazy, crazy thing. So I'm not sure how this is going to go as far as like Rochester's survivability is concerned, because I think this team can survive. It's just a matter of how are they going to be able to survive when things have not been great, and they got to market a little bit better, got to do a lot of things a little bit better. There's a lot of things that has to be done better. Yes, there's some other, major player stuff going on, but again, not a whole lot, as far as like players and stuff like that. The main stories in the NLL have been Rochester and the Players Association and the owners, trying to ratify a new CBA. So that's basically been the main two things. And again, mostly radio silence, which is a good thing, which means, things could be, moving on up and things could be, going in motion. And most of us just aren't, here to hear about. So, we're trying to, get the games played on time, not have to delay again. Like I said, last time I talked about lacrosse, it was the last time I, was like, oh, there was a delay, a couple seasons back, where, they had to push the season back a couple weeks and everything like that just to make everything in. And again, yeah, there's been radio silence. Yeah, that has led to some, wonky things. Again, like free agency being pushed back another couple weeks. It was supposed to be today. It was actually supposed to be today when NLL free agency opened up. But again, got pushed back to a couple weeks before, or rather a couple weeks later. So, yeah. There's been some other retirements too in the NLL, but I forgot. I think Callum Crawford retired, which is, man. So what about the PLL? Well, the highest scoring game in PLL history was a 20-19 game between New York and Philadelphia, and it, got Philadelphia into the playoffs, which honestly there should not be 6 teams in the PLL playoffs, but it is what it is. It's absolutely disgusting because Philadelphia got in off a point differential anyway. Maryland beat Boston in the final game of the season. It was like, oh, okay. And so 3 of the 4 teams out west in the Western Conference, are going to be getting that PLL Championship Series, 6s format coming to them in February. So we do have the New York Atlas led by, the awesome Connor Schellenberger and Jeff Teat, who have been lighting it up, as far as scoring is concerned this year and everything in between. I mean, this New York team is a unit. They have a pretty good guy in the net. On the name of Liam Intiman, they have a pretty good guy in net. So I don't know, man. California, pretty good team as well. They're kind of iffy, but at the same time, there's guys like Chase Ireland who've been, doing their thing. In the final game of the season, Ireland only had 1 save in the fourth quarter, 1 single save, and yet it was enough. Of course, Big Blaze Reardon, it's going to be a goalie battle out in the playoffs. It's going to be a goalie battle between those 2 teams, and of course, Maryland and Philadelphia. Again, like Maryland was not that great either this year, and they, had to win to get in. And I mean, again, Philadelphia made it a little bit crazier, but it's all right. It's all right. Wasn't not too crazy. And again, some of the guys that done, the good things, like, the good things. I'm very surprised the guy like Justin Nacio that got a, nearly 61% face-off win percentage, and yet he's ahead of guys like Trevor Baptiste. Wild that he led the league in face-offs this year. And yet, the Utah Archers with Brett Dobson, I remember, at least on 1 or 2 occasions, glazing Brett, the Utah Archers, the defending champions, the 2-time defending champions, are nowhere to be found in the playoffs. Nowhere. They're out. Went 3-7 this year. Absolutely terrible. And again, my point, being, again, PLL playoffs are way too long. This guy's, the PLL was talking about, oh, well, we got to move, to spring and everything like that. No, you literally, all you have to do is move some of these dates back. Yes, you could still have the championship on a Sunday. Yes, you could still have the championship on a Sunday or even Labor Day. But what I'm saying is should be moving things back by a couple weeks. There is no way we should be having 2 weeks off before the playoffs. There's room on an ESPN network somewhere. There's room somewhere. Like literally this weekend. Literally this weekend, we could have one, or one game on ABC and maybe the other on like ESPNU or something like that. You can put the Stars and Stripes Classic, which I don't care about, on ESPNU anytime, but yet both semifinals aren't televised. Both semifinals still aren't on TV. It's Labor Day. There's nothing on. How are we getting to this point still? We're still getting to this point where, I want championship weekend back. The NLL did that right. I don't care. I will champion that point until the end of time. Championship weekend was so much better, so much better. Players, don't even play a game every week now. So, there's really no excuses at this point. You have NLL guys doing 2 games in 2 days. There's really no excuse now, So you really, there's really no excuse for this at this point. Like we can have something, that gets moved back. And I get angry about this every single year. And every single year I say the same thing. But what I'm saying is true. There really should be 6 teams in the playoffs. Again, Philadelphia backed in due to points differential. Point differential, as far as goals allowed and goals scored. Point differential. It should be like this. It really should be. And I mean, we're going to be stuck with 8 teams for quite a while because, this is just the way it is. But I mean, I'm excited for the PLL playoffs in a way, kind of. I'm probably just gonna watch the championship, though. I'm just gonna watch the championship. I really don't want to see Maryland Philadelphia in any sort of capacity. That is not a playoff game in any capacity. That is just setting somebody up for failure against New York. But then again, at the same time, New York ain't invincible. New York is not invincible. So I don't know. The Outlaws are pretty good too. They've done a pretty good job this year too. Cali and Carolina have already, highlighted them a little bit. Denver again, didn't expect it, but hey, they did what they did. They did what they did, and I mean, you have guys like Pat Cavanaugh, just riling up. You have guys like Brendan O'Neill doing his thing. Like. It's a recipe for success. And if we get a Denver New York championship in the PLL, I'm gonna be pretty excited. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I think we could get any combination. Like again, California doesn't just have guys like Ireland. There's Dylan Malloy out there, another guy that's been playing some really good lacrosse over the past couple of years. The other Kavanaugh, one of the other Kavanaughs, Kirst. I mean. This California team is a legit team. Carolina, again, legit team. New York, Denver, all legit. And that's why they're all in the PLL Championship Series. And I'm just kind of, again, I don't know what to think about Maryland and Philadelphia. Yeah, Michael Sowers is on Philadelphia. Yeah, he's tearing it up as usual. But, like, what has Philadelphia shown me this year? They didn't even show me that they could beat New York. They had to just play to basically get in, and they had to try and win, but they couldn't get what they wanted, at the end. But at the end of the day, they still got what they wanted because they got in the playoffs. So I'm gonna probably end up circling back to an argument about playoffs again. But you know what? It's fine. I forgot about the Man Cup too, but it's all right. Again, I don't talk about the Minto or the Man anymore, but the races is still going on. I am keeping up with those in a way, but I'm just not going to talk about them. Yeah, I am kind of keeping up with those by keeping active on Twitter and everything like that. That's basically it. To be quite honest with you, we'll wrap this whole thing up for the season on September the 14th with the PLL Championship in Red Bull Stadium in New Jersey. That will be where the PLL Championship is for 2025. It's going to be a beautiful one. Whoever makes it there, we have 6 contenders, and all 6 are looking to go to New Jersey, baby. They're going to Jersey. And somebody's going to hoist up that PLL Championship trophy, and it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be another beautiful bookend to lacrosse, for 2024-2025 season. And then we'll turn our attention to 2025-2026. Slowly but surely, we wait yet again on the NLL to finalize things. And if things are indeed finalized, by the time, I make the video about the PLL Championship, then, we'll stick to a normal schedule. But if not, and things are delayed a little bit more, or perhaps the NLL season is even completely canceled somehow, and I say somehow because there is a slight chance, we may have to have some delays a little bit. But I'm going to let you guys know, you guys keep up with what the PLL has been posting, keep up with what the NLL has been posting. If you're a Canadian box fan, keep up with that as well, So, big boy out. I'm sorry I didn't get any videos in earlier this week. I just did not feel like it. And this week I did. So, I'm going to be seeing some more shorts from me too this weekend. So, just keep your heads up.